Hello, thank you for joining us today. I'm Josh Steen. Next to me is Delix Alex, and next to him is Jeremy Button. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully this is an informative session for you. Today we're talking about our NVX, our AV over IP solution. Before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about who we are, Crestron Electronics. We've been around for almost 50 years now. We started in the control and AV automation space. Back then, obviously, things were very different than they are today. We were talking 35 millimeter slide projectors and relay control for sales presentations. So obviously, things have evolved quite a bit. But we really have a legacy of controlling products and technology. And so as things evolved over the years, you saw things like projectors and flat panel displays and audio amplifiers and video switchers and lighting systems and all these different types of disparate technologies. And Crestron was always the organization that spoke all of their native language and gave a simple user experience back to the customer. And that user experience could be a remote control like you have at home. It could be a touch screen as things evolved, web interfaces, and even mobile applications. But it was all about simplifying that experience. As time went on and we turned into a global organization that today we have about 90 offices throughout the world, we started to manufacture more and more of that technology. We're going to be talking about video content distribution or content distribution at large. We did audio systems, we do lighting systems, we even do high-end residential products as well. So all of these things, while we manufacture and create them here in New Jersey, in our headquarters, we always created them with the basis of control and user experience. That's always been our core foundation principle. So that's a little bit about who we are. Today we're talking about NVX, our content distribution platform. When I say content, that's video signals, that's audio signals, it's USB, it's KVM, it's control, it's all these different aspects, and the ability to move that across a 1 gig Ethernet network. So that's basically what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how those roll into applications. And here with me today, Delix Alex, who is our product manager for these digital media products. Delix, could you tell us a little bit more in depth about what NVX and AV over IP is?
Sure, Josh, thank you. NVX is Crestron's AV over IP solution for video distribution. You know, these days, content is part of everything we do at work, at home, and everything in between. What NVX does is puts that content on the network so that it is available to any destination you can imagine. So this could be a conference room, it could be a command and control center, and much more. The best part about NVX is that it complies with all your latest and industry standard IT technologies. So there aren't special requirements for NVX. It operates on any modern gigabit Ethernet network.
So Delix, simply put, how does NVX actually work? We have some products on the table in front of us. Can you just kind of take us through the architecture and why NVX is so important?
Yeah, NVX is made up of various different devices. We have some of those devices here on the table. It starts with the NVX endpoint, which takes video, audio, KVM, USB, control, all of these interfaces and puts it onto the Ethernet network. Now these endpoints are available in devices such as these, in an endpoint form factor, or in a card form factor, which 8 of these can fit into a single card chassis. Again, it's all about getting all of the various signals, video, audio, USB, and data onto the network so it is available at any destination.
So this is a little bit different than traditional switching infrastructure. So previously, if you've been involved in whether it's deploying into a meeting space or in a command and control center, you would have a large black box that had a certain number of video inputs and a certain number of video outputs, and you'd plug in sources like laptops into those 8 video inputs, and those outputs you'd plug in, say, HDMI out to displays.
Yep.
So the difference between that type of technology and this technology is that if I ever had to add a 9th source or a 9th display, what would I have to do, Delix?
In this case with DMNVX, it's a matter of just adding another endpoint. You're not in a fixed architecture anymore. It's completely flexible in how you can deploy it. And like Josh said, when the needs evolve and in that particular space, for whatever reason, it's just a matter of purchasing and deploying another DMNVX endpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. So the old way, if I had to add that ninth source or that ninth display, I'd literally throw out that investment and I'd have to put in, say, a 16 input by 16 output because they came in preset sizes and flavors. But with the NVX, it is an endpoint platform. So I add a ninth transmitter and a ninth receiver,
Exactly.
plug it into the source and display, and now I have a truly scalable solution. One of the things that I think is really key here is the size of these particular products. Those 8x8s or 16x16s, or Jeremy, you know, and you can talk to it, they go up to like 256 inputs by 256 outputs, and these things would be the size of a closet.
Right.
Talk a little bit about why the scale is so important.
Sure, Josh. Yeah, so one of the things that we love about this product is the form factor of it. It allows you to be that much more scalable with the product. If you don't have a dedicated space to throw huge black boxes all over the place, all you need is a network drop in a room. You can get an NVX up and going on this thing and you're off the races. That's what I love about this product. It speaks military terms, right? It's fast, it's scalable, it's agile, it's everything you want it to be. It's all those terms and all those functions that matter to commanders in a time now situation. So the form factor is just greatly important. We don't have to deal with the huge black boxes. We don't have to build out dedicated spaces to house all of this hardware. Put content wherever you want it and wherever you need it, anytime you need it.
Awesome. And so the network capabilities on this product are pretty vast. Elix, maybe you should point out some of the connectivity options on this product and how that interplays with the network.
Sure. So DMNVX technology works over a standard gigabit Ethernet infrastructure. It doesn't require multi-gig deployments. And that's really a core tenet in how DMNVX was designed so that it can work on your network and an existing network as long as it complies with modern network standards. The ports available on these devices really allow us to really deploy and design systems in almost any fashion. So there's multiple Ethernet copper ports as well as a single SFP port. So depending on if you're deploying fiber or copper, we can support both solutions in the same box. Again, these devices support control, video, audio. You can segregate that traffic however you choose to deploy. Again, speaking to the flexibility of the DMNVX line.
So in this case, the network traffic, the video traffic, and the audio traffic can be segmented, but they don't have to be, right?
Correct. It could be over a single port if you choose to deploy it that way. If you want to separate it, depending on what other sort of peripherals and equipment are on your network, you can build it out the way you want to do it.
Excellent. And so that SFP port obviously can be connected with fiber optics, whatever your standard is within your infrastructure, right?
Exactly.
So obviously being on a network, there's a lot of benefits to that because we can be on that customer's network at their security levels. But even beyond that, the security of the product is going to be key. It's really part of Crestron's ethos for network security. Can you, Delix, talk a little bit about the thought that went into securing NVX from philosophy on to implementation of the product?
Sure. So what I would say is that we build products with security in mind. Security is first and foremost. So we comply with network technologies like 802.1x that provides device access control. We provide integration with Active Directory, which provides user access control. We have encryption, which enables content, all the control signals to be distributed on the network in a secure manner. But it's not just complying with standards. We also audit ourselves. We work diligently. We have a huge quality assurance team that is focused on security, ensuring that we test with all sorts of third-party tools, and we submit to various certifications as well to ensure that the device is 100% locked down. In 2019, we started with JITC and FIPS certification. We didn't stop there. Really excited to announce, actually, by the end of this year, we will have NIAP certification as well. So really completing the story and taking NVX to the next level of certification. And DM-NVX is really the most flexible AV over IP distribution technology with this level of certification.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Delix. So NIAP certification later this year is going to be huge. Jeremy, can you tell us a little bit? I'm sure a lot of our audience, they know exactly why this is a big deal, but maybe you could shed some more light on that.
Sure. Yeah. So thanks, Josh. In the past, we've had to, when we're talking about those types of applications, there's really only been a handful, probably one or two solutions where you've had to really lean on to make those things happen. Now with NVX coming out and getting that certification, it's a next level for us. It allows you, instead of having to take this enormous chassis, right, and throw it into this room, and you're really you're hemmed in right there. So if it's 256, you're 256, then you're gonna have to go buy another huge chassis just to grow and scale upon that. Now we're giving you the ability to make that thing any size you want based on that requirement, 10 by 10, 80 by 80. 1,000,000 by 1,000,000, I guess, if you really want to get there. I guess that's where we could go with it. But it's allowing you to use that network and leverage it how it should be leveraged. You know, the network is a weapon system for the government. It is a weapon system for the DoD. And you don't want to downgrade that network. You want to add something to it that's going to plus it up. And NVX allows you to do that. We're super excited about this cert. We think it's going to be phenomenal in that application.
Great. Now we talked about the size of the product and obviously being these endpoint solution, we distribute that. Where physically, Jeremy, do you see these products going in the application? I imagine the receiver would go behind the display, but maybe talk to the applications and where these physical products might go.
Sure. So we're talking JOCs, TOCs, Joint Operation Centers, Tactical Operation Centers, a JOC in a box. It's rapidly deployable. Conference rooms, divisible meeting spaces, any and everything where you can think of where this product could possibly go behind a display. That's where we're at. It's all over the place. And what I love about the form factor, if I could go back to that just really quickly, the form factor is already small. But we make one even smaller than that, right? That allows us to go into the OPS slots of displays, and it removes that extra bit of weight from those large video wall applications. You know, we used to have a saying in the Army, ounces equal pounds, right? And when you're talking about these big video walls, you don't want to add a ton of weight to it. Or it might be easier to use that OPS application on that display. NVX can fit them all.
Great, thanks, Jeremy. So a big part of our product, you touched on this, Delix, is the overall performance of it. We see, whether you're going to a consumer electronics store, you see all these very high resolution displays. Can NVX handle that? What is the performance of video and audio? Is that anything that we have to be concerned with when dealing with the network?
Yeah, so DM-NVX, since it was introduced, it's evolved quite a bit, and it supports 4K 60, 444, and what that really means to you is it supports the highest quality content that's available in the market right now. There's no concern with the quality, and that's because of a technology we employ called pixel perfect processing. And what that enables is for us to take that video signal, put it on the network, and ensure that with almost no latency and maintaining the highest quality possible, we can deliver that to your source. So that's video. And on the audio side, one key tenet with DM-NVX is being interoperable. So we employ AES67 and Dante in the DM-NVX ecosystem so that we can send those audio sources between NVX units, of course, but also third-party devices.
Yeah, so those are audio standards that you can use with amplifiers and mixers and microphones and all of those things that are made by a variety of manufacturers, but it's all standards-based. So best quality, no latency, a lot of standards, both network and audio are employed. Jeremy, you were speaking earlier. It's pretty obvious that you had some military experience. You're talking the lingo really well. So you were actually a battle captain in one of these command centers. What does performance mean in that type of real world environment?
Yeah, Josh. So performance is everything there, and serving as a battle captain in that space, you are the conduit to the battlefield for those different outlying units, for the commanders that are sitting there in the JOC. if you can't give them real-time information, then they can't make real-time decisions. And what I love about this product is that there is no latency, and it's fast, it's agile, it's scalable, it's everything that you need it to be. It allows you to make a near perfect decision on near perfect information. And that's what we're really going for here. I can route with this product as that battle captain, I can route these signals anywhere that I need them to be. And maybe the boss isn't sitting there in that command center, maybe he's in his office. I need to route that information so that he can make that information. If I need to push that to his office, as long as he's got a network drop right there behind his display in his office, I can make that happen for him. That's what I love about this product.
Yeah.
And all of that's done in real time, right?
Real time.
It's the product actually evolved quite a bit in the past few years. Technologies like Pixel Perfect, also the improvements we made in switching speed was really to facilitate those workflows, right? So that when a button is pushed and a route is made, it's done in real time.
Yeah, so near instantaneous. Not only do we have zero latency with the highest quality video, you make a route and it's there where you need it when you need it.
Yep.
And that kind of speaks to the control legacy. Delix specifically, talk a little bit about, well, how do I get the signal from that transmitter through that switch to that receiver to that display? What are the options for the user to physically make those routes and send it where I want it to go?
Really, the best thing about choosing the Crestron solution is around this area of control. Crestron, obviously, with the legacy of the DM-NVX products, is we provide quality products to deliver audio, video, and all these signals onto the network. But we have other solutions in our ecosystem, such as a touchscreen controller. Now, that touchscreen controller could be deployed in a way where a custom graphical user interface is put together to control that particular space. It can be really tailored to that particular environment. So again, with the push of a button, you can trigger a single route or a series of routes.
So that allows for a real scalable application. It could be a simple meeting room experience where I hit one button, it joins the meeting, it routes my laptop out to the codec, and I'm up and running, all the way up to, in Jeremy's situation where I'm in a command center and I've got 50 displays and a lot of operators that need to route that sort of information.
And really, it's about that automated experience, right? We know that everything you're doing is mission critical, right? You can't be wasting time trying to figure out how to operate the system. So really, that's where the Crestron solution excels in being able to deliver that automated experience, tying into your ecosystem.
Yeah. So we had mentioned earlier on that the types of signals that NVX is capable of. We mentioned video and audio, USB. We kind of threw KVM there, which is a mixture of things, and also control signals. But looking at the KVM aspect real quick, can you talk about the control mechanism within KVM, how we act as a KVM, and how we're unique and a little bit different?
Sure. So the solutions, the DM-NVX endpoints that we have sitting on the table here, have a USB interface. We also make dedicated USB devices as well. We work with all sorts of different USB peripherals, whether that's a simple device like a keyboard and mouse, cameras, touchscreen overlays, all sorts of different devices. Most recently, we added USB hotkey support. And what that really enables is, it may seem simple, but it actually can do quite a bit. You can now use USB hotkeys to control the system. And that's not just the video routes, it's the entire ecosystem of products to, again, automate the experience so that when I hit a particular hotkey or shortcut, you have the ability to control the room experience.
Great. Jeremy, from somebody that's actually lived this, how could you utilize that keyboard shortcut control mechanism in a traditional way, but maybe even a little bit outside the box?
Sure. Just using that hotkey function allows me to put any information or any graphics or anything that I need. I can pre-program it, throw it anywhere I'd like to throw it. If I need to throw that latest map or that overlay over to the boss, I can do that. If I need to pull it from his office, I can do that too. It's unbelievable what you can do with this product and the agility that it allows you to maintain. As quickly as information comes in, that information has to go out. Yeah. It's very real time, and it's critical that you're able to pass those signals as quickly as you possibly can. This is the product that can do that.
And this platform is built even on that type of control. KVM and hotkey support was very recent. But another recent addition was API control.
Sure.
What does that provide to our listeners today?
So we know in many of these environments, there's specific software tools or applications that you are using. So we initially did not have an API solution, but last year we opened it up. Literally every function of the DM NVX product can be controlled through this API. So what does that mean for you? You can now integrate NVX into the software tools and applications that you use so that you don't necessarily have to deploy a separate control interface. It can be integrated into your solution.
Great. So for those that don't speak native API and things like that, basically it's hooks into our software that another application that maybe you've developed on your end can tie into, make routes, send audio this way, video this way, control signals that way. It gives total flexibility through a remote, a touchscreen, a keyboard through hotkeys, or through a custom software application that ties into our API. You really have very broad-based control options at your disposal. And even beyond that, if we just jump back to a meeting room experience, the most simple deployment that there is. Jeremy, tell us a little bit about how we've even used simple things like an occupancy sensor in the room in a meeting experience.
Absolutely, Josh. Yeah, so adding those occupancy sensors, those add-on items there allows us to take the experience just up another level. I've been there in the past where you've had to go in and you've had to spin up the room and you've got the command suite in there. They're all in there, they're ready to go, they want to get going. You can't get the room up, right? It's so frustrating. Adding these to that, add that occupancy sensor and they're walking there, the meeting comes up, you're ready to go, you push one button, we're off and we're running. That's what you've got to do. Every minute is critical in an operation, every single second. You can't waste time having to spin a room up. Just can't do it.
So you had made a comment earlier that this product portfolio, this platform is extremely scalable. You set up to 1 million by 1 million. I'm sure you're waiting for that sale to come in. But you know, it really is. It is very scalable. So that always brings up the question of deployment. How do I get from a simple meeting room to tens of meeting rooms, to hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of different spaces, including various different types of spaces, all up to command and control facilities? What are my options for deploying? Is this difficult? Is this cumbersome? What's the reality there?
So just like we were talking about control earlier, there's various levels to how the DM NVX solution could be deployed. It starts right on the box in a web browser. It's configuration. You log into a web page, you enter some simple credentials, you set up your routes, you customize the system to your liking, and you apply those settings. It's as simple as that. That is where we start. But now as we scale, maybe to the hundreds, I don't know about the millions, but
we'll get there.
Product managers cringing a little bit.
As we get there, we have management solutions. The first one I'll mention is Crestron's XIO Cloud. XIO Cloud is our mechanism to deploy any Crestron solution at scale. It's manage, deploy, monitor, set up alerts, learn about how the room is utilized, all sorts of different things to be able to proactively respond to rooms. All sorts of various elements play into XIO
Security
Cloud.
patches, all of those sort of things.
Updates and so on. So XIO Cloud can be the solution to deploy NVX solutions at scale, along with all of your other Crestron solutions. Now we also have something called the DM NVX Director, which enables to specifically manage the DM NVX solutions. Again, when you start getting into these larger deployments, configure routes, configure domains, all sorts of different things to make it easy.
Great. So just what we're looking at is simple deployments. I can use the built-in web services to configure that from a web page. I can push that out to an on-prem solution with NVX Director and scale to whatever I need within my facility or across my campus. Then we have our XIO cloud-based platform, which is built off Microsoft Azure. And we've got some things we're working on that'll make that even easier as a cloud platform. Can you talk a little bit about that, Jeremy?
Sure. What I love about XIO and something that's probably not as easily discussed or it's often missed is that XIO can be seen as a force multiplier. Every S6 shop only has a handful of people working in there. And sometimes that talent can even leave. It'll PCS, it'll move, it'll retire, it'll go away. You don't want that knowledge to go away with that person, right? With XIO, it's easy to use, it's easy to configure, it's easy to get up and running, right? If you've got that there, you can maintain that throughout your shop, throughout everybody, right? They can learn how to use this. But it's the force multiplier that I love about this. One person can manage the entire enterprise from that desk. And I think that's critically important. You can't have a chance or an opportunity or a situation come up where you have to go room to room to room to configure these items and configure these rooms. If you can sit there and make things happen, you can maintain the battle rhythm, and that's critically important.
Great, thanks, Jeremy. So a couple of things to key in on there is, you said deploying. We've talked about these different types of spaces. Obviously, this has been an interesting couple now that we're moving into, and the way people work and interact has fundamentally changed. We see people working remotely. We see people working in hybrid situations globally all over the world, and then back in traditional meeting spaces or whatever it happens to be. So Crestron is unique. We have this video platform, but we also have a platform called Flex. And Flex is a platform for meeting room environments, whether it's personal desktop spaces to tabletop meeting room environments, to sound bars, and even custom spaces up to the command centers where we deploy video conferencing, unified collaboration solutions that work natively on Microsoft Teams. We have Zoom Room applications and the ability to leverage any codec or application for conferencing and unified collaboration. So Jeremy, how does that type of technology and the NVX AV over IP technology really come together to play a crucial part of the world we live in today?
Yeah, great question there, Josh. So it brings everything together. You really only want to train one time and on one product, right? And if we can do that, if I can give you something that allows you to pretty much knock out 99% of your enterprise there, we're not at displays yet, but who knows, right? If I can knock out 99% of that, I'm only training that one time. And I've got a platform to manage it with XIO. I don't have to have multiple platforms. I can manage everything in the Crestron environment from that simple platform. It's an absolute game changer. Absolute game changer. If something goes down, I've got one person to call. But it's probably not going to go down because it's pretty rock solid stuff, right?
Or we know who to talk to.
Yeah, we know who to talk to right here. But it is a game changer in that everything is designed to work together cohesively like a unit.
Great. So, I'm sure we're gonna get into questions here in a few minutes, but there's a lot of different applications that we've talked about, whether it was command and control, meeting spaces, video conferencing spaces. When we look at that area overall, if anybody that's listening to us today really wants to delve deeper into how do I design a system? Can I do this? What is my application? Jeremy, can you tell us how to get a hold of us and what to do?
So we've got a terrific program called the GSS program, Government Support Services. What it does, it allows our government partners a deep dive access into the Crestron world, right? You go directly in. You get design help, you've got warranty help, you've got RMA help. There's all sorts of assets there for you. The training is vitally important. It allows you to go and access all of the Crestron training online, as well as our institutes across the world. It's an incredible tool to have. It's a no-charge product. It comes along with our products. I encourage each and every one of you guys to sign up for that. It'll get you to where you need to be. It's a very simple application. It'll take you a couple of minutes. Matter of fact, I'm the signature authority on it, so it typically comes to me. I'll approve you, get you off and running, and before you know it, you're calling us and asking us for help. But it's a great tool. I highly encourage you to use that.
Absolutely. So again, Crestron.com/government. You can find out all about the GSS program. You can get introduced to Jeremy and his team, and they're there to absolutely help. So just kind of in summation today, we've been talking about our NVX, our AV over IP, our product to basically distribute all sorts of content, video, audio, USB, KVM control over your 1 gigabit network at your security level. Basically plug a source in at an endpoint, HDMI, into the switch, out of the switch into a receiver, and that output endpoint plugs into your display. Those come in solutions like this. Card form factors, you can have multiple card frames, expand this. Again, we're going to shoot for the million by a million, but hopefully that comes about. But that's kind of a summation. Really, any type of application where you need to get content from point A to point B, this is the solution that can get it done, and we can do it securely and at scale. But thank you so much for your time. We're so excited to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.